Annyeong Hashimika! Welcome back to Pod of Thrones! I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
This is our all-Korean episode. Have you been practicing?
Annyeong.
That's as far as we go. I can count to 10. Do you remember how to count to 10 from your Taekwondo days?
No.
Okay, that's all right. I'm not going to waste the audience this time with that. So, let's just address the elephant in the room. We said that we were going to come back with our next episode being probably the first half of Why the Last Man.
Right.
And
we did.
And then we stopped watching Why the Last Man. It's, you know what? Shit happens. We got breaking news. Thanks to word of mouth. And I don't know, I guess that's about it. We got sucked into Netflix's Squid Game.
Yeah, because it said it was #1 on Netflix's watch.
Well, yeah, there is that too, but some people at work had said I should watch it.
And that's what convinced me. I was like, if it's #1, I got to see what's the big deal.
Oh, that's how you got roped into that porn one once.
Yes, that is how I got roped into the porn one.
What was that called? Some like 186 days or something like that?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah. They didn't really show anything good though, right?
I mean, it was almost good.
Well.
You might have got a dick neck. I'm not.
Dick neck. You got that from me.
I did.
I got that from Brian Posehn. But it's such a good term. All right. So anyway, the point is this. We got sidetracked from Why the Last Man, and we'll come back to that real soon. I mean, I bought the comic and everything. I'm kind of pot committed right now.
Right.
And I was all excited to do a report and show you some things from the comic and tweet out a couple pictures from it and everything. But the Squid Game.
It was only 6 episodes.
We have to talk about Squid Game, which was only 9 episodes. What?
That's how we convinced ourselves that it was okay to take a break. It's only 6 episodes. Oh, 9, did you say?
Squid Game was 9.
Oh, well, seemed like 6.
Well, there were 6 games.
Oh, that's why.
Okay,
that's
but
why.
before we get into Squid Game, we promised we'd always have Game of Thrones headlines.
Okay.
All right.
That's
Do you
right.
have any?
No.
That's okay. I got a few. Nothing big. The first one's very amusing. Okay, so a long time ago, many moons, somewhere around the last time we saw the character Robin Aaron. Remember Robin Aaron?
Yeah, the boy.
What do you remember about him?
He used to suck on his mom's breast until he was like 12.
Right. And then later on would just be a creepy creeperton.
Was he? He seemed all right.
He was kind of after Sansa, but then he was also a dick. Of course,
that's what they did. They married family.
But then he was mostly getting manipulated.
By his mother.
Well, Baelish.
Oh, right. Later.
After mom died, right? Well, we had said a few times, like, after a role like that, I really hope that this kid
gets a good one.
Can get through this. Because you have a role like that, and it's going to come with a stigma. You're always remembered as the kid that sucked his mom's boob on TV. And it doesn't matter, it was a real boob or his real mom. That stays with you. So that's Lino Faccioli. Says he's British Brazilian, so pronouncing it with a stereotypical Italian accent's probably wrong. But Lino Faccioli, formerly Robin Aaron, this just came through as a headline. His fans are going crazy over him. Now he's all grown up and he's on the show. I think it's a Netflix show, Sex Education.
Oh, I've been thinking
been there
about watching that.
I think that's been there on the trending shows, right? So I'm just going to show you a picture. Anyone can type in Lino Faccioli. That's F-A-C-I. Wait. I moved my
Faccioli.
No, just one C. Faccioli. Lino, Lino, Faccioli. Anyone can Google this, Lino Faccioli Sex Education, and you'll find some pictures. And here's the one I'm going to show you from across the room.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh.
I saw that about a week ago, yes.
This is him apparently on a probably college campus, I assume, running around naked and screaming.
That's right.
His hands are over his junk.
I don't know why I didn't get excited when I saw it.
You should have.
I didn't run home
Apparently
and tell you
everyone
about
else
it.
is getting excited about it.
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
You can almost see the dick neck.
All right, almost.
But not quite.
That's the way it be.
Almost see the dick neck?
Yep.
Okay. Just leave them guessing.
That's how women are treated.
What?
We only get to see almost the dick neck.
Well, that's true. It's very unfair. Like, I have no interest in seeing a bunch of dicks on TV, but I am for equality. I will put up with that for you ladies.
Thank you. That's quite giving.
I give Netflix and Hulu permission to show some dick. Or at least dick neck. You guys deserve it.
We do.
Yep. Headline number 2, the next fun one, because she has become one of my all-time favorites, The Shame Lady.
Uh-huh. I saw that too.
Well, why don't you tell us?
I don't remember. All I know is that she doesn't feel bad about her.
No. It's not that. It's not that one. We talked about that one a few weeks ago. But she made the headlines again. And I guess the reason she's getting so much press is because she's on Ted Lasso, another show with huge word of mouth that everyone says we should be watching. And we just got to find time for it, right? But Hannah Waddingham, she's British. It's probably Waddingham, right?
Okay.
Waddingham.
I'll allow it.
It's not Waddingham. Hannah Waddingham. She confessed on a recent interview that she kept the shame bell.
Oh.
Isn't that awesome? Yes. She can relive that moment at home, like
she
Halloween.
Deserves it for that.
Oh, if I was her, I would just walk up and down the streets on Halloween yelling shame at people.
And she's beautiful.
Yeah. You wouldn't have known it, right?
Right.
They did her up bad in Game of Thrones.
Sure did.
When you seal someone's whole face around, it's not different from a nun,
and they made
I
it
guess.
tight. I think that's why her face is kind of pushed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't have known. But now if we go watch her on Ted Lasso, you'll be hubba-hubbaing at her more than me. I'm
Interesting.
Guessing. I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's the news.
No, there was one more. My phone had a pop-up ad, so I got distracted. Okay. The third and final headline, and again, just a little one, but we have actual Game of Thrones, news about House of the Dragon coming up.
Right.
And that news is George R. R. Martin and oh god, these freaking websites now. The whole article just got absorbed by whiteness and it's just gone now. Let me just refresh it here. Okay. George R. R. Martin, in a recent interview or a recent podcast appearance, I really have to try to find him, on a recent podcast appearance said, I always thought this was, I don't know, do you have a George R. R. Martin voice?
No.
Okay. I always thought this was a cool story. It's one I like, so I'm looking forward to seeing it come alive on screen. Do you think that's what he sounds like?
No, that is not what he sounds like.
Okay, how about this? And of course, I'm looking forward to the dragons. Obviously, I love the dragons. We had 3 of them in Game of Thrones, but now we've got 17 of them. And hopefully they'll each have their own personalities. They'll be instantly recognizable when you see them, the colors and all of that, because the dragons do have personalities in the books.
Run-on sentence.
And it'll be great to see that come alive.
He's such a great writer.
And the Dragon Riders. That's all pretty cool. Yeah, and the Dragon Riders was its own sentence, at least the way the quote was written. That was quite a run-on. But 17 dragons. So, picture the direwolves, where we could just barely keep them straight, and then they started dying off. But that was 6. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to have 17 dragons with names and stories and loves and interests.
Aww, good old dragon love.
And then some of them, I presume,
they'll have a little...
will be murdered.
Oh, I thought they were going to have babies.
Oh, well, maybe that too. I think this takes place long enough ago where the dragons will still be majestic. Mm-hmm. Remember how they were saying, at the very end, when the Mad King was in power, the dragons that were left were just these tiny little runts?
Yes.
And then they just died off. Maybe that was before the Mad King, but somewhere around, the last of the dragons were just these tiny, sad little beings that would not have scared
so
anybody.
Cute. They could have been our pet.
Yeah, well, yeah. Probably about the same size as Sophie, the Dog of Thrones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That'd be adorable.
I'm impressed right now. Both of the dogs. Not like last week. Both of the dogs are on their best behavior right now.
They're sleeping. Shh.
But there's a thunderstorm outside.
The rain calms them.
This could change at any moment.
Yay, rain.
I love the rain. I love a rainy night. Okay. Now, are you ready?
Yep.
Are you ready to talk about Squid Game?
I am.
Holy shit. Okay, so this was a Korean miniseries. Or what do they call it? A limited series or something like that, right? Only 9 episodes.
Okay.
And I haven't taken the time to look up the backstory of how it got to Netflix, but I don't know. It got to Netflix. They did an English dub, which was cool. We watched it that way. I will say to you, if you don't speak Korean, the English dub while also having the English subtitles on, fascinating trip.
It's funny.
Yeah. There are vast differences sometimes in what the people are saying, and I assume the subtitles are directly translated. And then the dub, sometimes they make it
their own idea of what it was supposed to be.
Right. And I think they also do that a little bit to make it match up with the lips better.
Oh, yeah, sometimes I can see that. Because sometimes I was like, that person is speaking English.
It seemed like it a couple times, right? Yeah, they really do a good job with that.
Yeah.
But then that makes it not necessarily match the original. Yeah. It's like when you have to translate a song to another language and it still has to rhyme in the same places, but then you can't always do that and keep the song the same, so it winds up being something completely different. Like 99 Luft Balloons. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So where do we... I don't want to go through this exactly episode by episode in great detail. I just want to talk about what the fuck happened. So we have our, I guess, hero.
Yes.
Gi-hun. How would you describe this man?
A loser. Basically a loser, yeah.
Okay. Is there more to it than that? I mean, is he...
He's like he's this guy who's like, what, 40 or 50? Between probably 45. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a little younger or a little older. But he's got a daughter. His ex-wife and her stepfather care for the daughter because the guy he's down on his luck, I would say. A loser down on his luck, and he makes poor choices because he is down on his luck. He just continues to make poor choices because he's trying to get money the wrong ways when there's probably no work to be had. And even if you did work, you'd be like working your butt off for some squid market.
A lot of squid in this.
And getting paid like 10 cents a fish or something. I don't know.
You know, like you do.
Right.
The old 10 cents a fish jobs.
Down at the old squid market. So, and it's in a poor neighborhood. You can tell, like, he's just desperate.
And he lives with his mom. What'd you think of her?
I felt like she was probably a typical Korean lady who was fed up with her son. You know, she like has to take care of him.
Well, she's still working.
She's still working because this guy's too much of a loser to contribute. She has to take care of him because he's her son.
He's
supposed to be bringing in money, and she's pissed off about it.
Right. But she's putting up with it. I mean, she's not like...
It's her responsibility because...
She doesn't talk to him like he's a dick. She's just like, gosh, I hope you go get a job today. Or, you know, like she's...
And she's really, we find out, messed up.
Yeah. She's not in good physical health, but she's doing what she has to do.
And the guy just yells at her, why are you going to go do that, Ma?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wasn't he telling her that she shouldn't be going to work at one point?
Right. And she's like, well, who's going to pay the rent then?
Right. Duh. So this guy starts off as unlikable. Like, it's not just like you can feel bad for someone who's down on their luck. And maybe sometimes this guy's like kind of pitiful.
He's very pitiful.
But so... Like, we see him in all the worst lights in the first episode.
Right. He goes and steals... his mom wants him to pick up a gift for the aunt who's...
For his daughter.
For his daughter. Because it's her birthday. That's right. And instead he goes and steals the money from her account. Because...
Yep. That's how it started.
Right. He's like, that's not enough money to get her a good gift. And then he uses that money at the racetracks.
Yes.
And loses it.
Almost loses everything.
Well, yeah, then he gets a lot.
Then he wins big. And upon winning big, we find out that he wins like 4 million won or something like that, which turns out is maybe like $10,000. So like he wins a decent amount of change. Cool. And that'd be great for paying his mom back. But then we find out he is in debt for like millions of won to thugs.
Right.
And they're going to take his kidney and his eyeball if he doesn't come up with it soon. And then he loses all the money to a pickpocket. So there comes like the pitiful part. But then he has like a few bucks left in his pocket, spends it on booze, or like borrows booze money from his friend or something, and then winds up playing a claw game to get his daughter a present.
Rather than just going and buying her a present with what he has left.
Yeah, he could have bought her like a $10 present.
Right. He keeps feeding his money into the claw game and not.
Yeah, he has a gambling problem, I'd say for sure. Maybe a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a job. It's just a bad combination. And then he takes his daughter, and then he gets her a gift, and it comes out of the claw. He gets help from another kid, gets his daughter this claw game gift, doesn't look at it first, and it turns out it's a realistic looking gun lighter. And then her birthday dinner is like hot dogs with no bun, just like hot dogs on a plate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. And like, I feel terrible for the girl.
And he had already told her that he's going to get her this wonderful gift.
Right. So daddy doesn't come through again.
Take her to her favorite place. Yeah.
I mean, did any of that like bring back memories, or did you have any experiences like that? Because you grew up with some unreliable people in your life.
No, I didn't have
nothing like that.
They didn't take me anywhere.
No.
Like that wasn't a thing.
You get to go out for bunless hot dogs on your birthday?
No. We had birthdays at home.
All right. Well, that's fair. Bunless hot dogs. So this guy's just, we're meeting him, and you get the impression that he's the hero of the story. He's our protagonist for sure. But I'm watching this first episode going, oh my God, how are we supposed to like this guy? And then he meets a very handsome, well-dressed businessman looking dude.
Yes, he is very handsome.
Who says, I can help you get money. Just play this child's game with me. It's a game unfamiliar to me.
It's some Korean game.
I get most of the stuff in the show I could relate to in some aspect, but not this one.
Yeah.
These two paper squares, you got to throw them on top of each other.
Flip them over.
Make it flip over by throwing it. Yeah.
Right. And of course, he gambles away, like, tries, because he keeps losing.
Right.
And the guy's like, what did he have to do?
Well, it was the gambling problem again, right? Like, he doesn't have any money to cover this 100,000 won bet. But he thinks, well, I'll just play the game and I'll win, and then everything will be okay. So he plays, and he's like, oh, shit, I don't have 100,000 won. And the guy's like, well, let me just slap you in the face really hard.
Oh, that's what it was, yes. If you lose, I get to slap you in the face.
Based on the montage, how many times would you say that happened?
100.
His face looked not good. His face looked not good for the entire rest of the show. I think there was some permanent capillary damage there.
Yeah.
But eventually he wins like one round or maybe a couple, and it's enough to like, oh, my life's going to be better now. But he actually owes hundreds of millions of won.
Yeah, I don't.
So it's not really better.
And he probably owes it to more than just those guys.
Yeah, I think he also owed some to a bank maybe or something.
Because he's always borrowing. Everybody he goes to, he's like, can I have some money?
Yep. Can I borrow 10,000 won?
That guy.
That's like his quote that'll be on his tombstone at this point. Can I borrow 10,000 won? He's like Wimpy from Popeye.
Yes.
I would gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's our hero, Gi-hun. And I wasn't sure what I was going to make of this. But they did manage to end episode 1 with the concept of intrigue, right? Like,
yeah, we're like, all right, we'll come back.
If you want more money, call this phone number. Okay, I'll call this phone number, right?
Yeah.
Did they? I don't remember if they played the first game in episode 1. I want to say no.
They showed it as a child's game. They showed them when they were young playing.
Oh yeah, well that was actually Squid Game,
right?
This little thing where he's remembering at the beginning of the show, like when I was a kid, we played Squid Game. There's a game I never heard of either. I guess it's about 50-50 on shit I've heard of in this show.
Yeah,
Squid Game.
I don't think I've ever heard of most of the games. I mean, some kind of variation, but not typical. Like, okay, they're going to play marbles, but they played it different.
Well, they could have played it a lot of different ways. But
yeah,
and then they played red light, green light. All right, so he calls the number. Fine. He gets put in a van with a bunch of other people and then gassed to sleep. And he wakes up in a dorm room of sorts. Giant cavernous room with 456 people.
Yep.
That's what it was, right? Yeah, 456 people in jumpsuits. And they're all going to play this game. No one knows what it is. They just know that they can win money. And then it turns out to be red light, green light. And that's where you really wind up not being able to stop watching the show. Unless you have a problem with blood.
Right.
Did you have any idea what was going to happen?
Well, I had a feeling. Because, you got that many people playing a game. Something's going to happen. And the giant doll.
The giant doll was awesome.
Yeah.
And for the record, I think I might still have this bookmark or open on my phone, but so the giant red light, green light doll has already been replicated. I guess I closed it. I want to say in the Philippines. It suddenly showed up at like a Filipino mall.
That's right.
Just sitting there being creepy as hell. Mm-hmm. I guess the good news is the doll wasn't the thing that shot you in the head. That was little sniper turrets around the room.
Yeah.
But the blood. Oh my God, the blood budget on this show.
Yeah, they had a lot of blood.
I mean, that 9 episodes was at least Game of Thrones worthy. Like a season of Game of Thrones. Maybe worse.
Well, it wasn't people were just getting shot in the head, though. It wasn't like
their brains were coming out. Like, we saw brains.
But it wasn't the same.
All right. It was a lot of blood. And they did some great shots with, like, if we saw the person from behind when they get shot, then the blood would spatter all over the camera, too.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
It was good. It was an interesting feeling because it's a different kind of cinematography. It's not American.
Yeah.
It feels different.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's good.
The panic.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation like that, so I don't know what it's like. But when you see someone fail to stop for red light, green light, and they get shot in the head, your instinct shouldn't be run away as fast as you can.
Well, there's nowhere to hide. You're just in a big arena.
And there's nowhere to hide. Yeah, you're right.
I would run towards the doll and try to hide, like, under its legs.
Maybe you can duck the bullets.
But no, because you can't, because they're all the way around.
The turrets are all the way around, but...
I mean... Yeah, don't run because you're playing red light, green light. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, don't just try to follow the rules.
As soon as you realize the situation you're in, there shouldn't be mass panic.
You get shot if you move.
Like, it was half the people.
Mm-hmm.
Half the...
And it would be because they didn't know they were going to get shot that first round.
I don't know. It's fight or flight, right? So you're in tremendous danger. Maybe that's like a 50-50 thing. Maybe half of the people in the world that find themselves in mortal danger will have an uncontrollable urge to run, even if there's nowhere to run to. Maybe the other half will be like, uh-oh, we better figure this out. Maybe. Probably. I don't know what the stats are on that.
I mean, then you can see who's dumb and smart or has stronger will.
So our hero, Gi-hun, makes it through this. He manages to successfully red light, green light, but he does get help. He almost falls at one point and is held up in the air by a... There's Sophie the dog of Thrones. A barking dog. It's time to not be the best dog anymore.
No. Quiet.
By a guy named Ali. Oh, Ali. I liked him so much. He was a Pakistani immigrant there for work, down on his luck, trying to support a wife and kid.
I feel like he was in that movie Bollywood.
A movie called Bollywood?
Yeah. I could be wrong. I know I've seen him in something.
Well, he's been in some stuff. Space Sweepers, Luck Key, The Eighth Night. I don't know.
Okay, probably not then.
But he seemed like a real nice guy. So, yeah, Gi-hun makes it through. Now, the other people there that are kind of important, we have, what's Sang-woo. Sang-woo?
Yeah, that's his cousin.
Or was that the cop? Dang it.
No, Sang-woo was his cousin.
Sang-woo was his cousin? Okay. It's hard to tell from IMDb here. We have his cousin. He is supposed to be a brilliant businessman. Went to SNU, Seoul National University, something like that, for business. He's a genius, yada, 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 but he's there for a reason. Turns out he did a lot of fraud.
Yeah.
And we also have the pickpocket, the person that stole like 4 million won from him just earlier that same day or 2 days ago or whatever. Do you remember her name? It was... She doesn't have a picture.
Gyeongbok? No. Byuk.
Oh, Sae-byuk.
Sae-byuk.
And she is a North Korean refugee, I guess. I don't know if she's there legally or not, but she managed to cross the border with her little brother, who is now in like a Catholic orphanage.
Yeah.
Because
he is not happy.
Dad's dead and mom didn't make it. She got like captured and taken back. Mm-hmm. Which I have to imagine North Korea doesn't put you in a good place if you get captured trying to escape.
Right.
So she needs money to get her mom like freed by...
Right. And she had the money. She gave it to somebody and that guy screwed her, or the guy that was his contact screwed her.
It's the sort of business where there's not a money back guarantee. If mom gets caught...
Smuggling people.
Smuggler. That's what I was that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, in this, well, I'm sure in the real world, if the smuggler gets caught and mom gets sent back to North Korea,
you don't get your money back, right?
Yeah. You got to come up with many, many, many more millions of won. And she doesn't have a job. She's
like 16.
Do you think she was that young? She was very little.
I don't know.
I would like to think that you couldn't join this game if you weren't at least 18. No? Most people were up there in years.
Yeah, there were no children. I mean, they probably don't allow children. You're probably right.
I would hope so. Like the way this game is run.
Yeah, it would get pretty nasty.
Now, one of the rules to the game, and there's only like 3 rules. 1, you have to play the game. 2, if you don't play the game, you're eliminated. Whatever that means.
Right.
And then the third rule is if more than half the players agree to stop, the games all end. So after this massacre, just more than 50% of the players decide to end the game. And the deciding vote was this little old guy named Ilnam.
Right.
He's very confused, has a brain tumor, sweet little old man.
Mm-hmm. You like him. You want him to be your Gambu.
Yes, he would make a great Gambu. And he cast the deciding vote, which, as we go through the story, I feel is kind of noteworthy. That dude knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So they wind up leaving, but it turns out life still sucks ass when you get back to the real world. So most of them agree to come back, and this time they're in it to win it.
They're going to stay no matter what.
Even if they die.
Right, because they're just going to live a life of misery or die on the outside
I don't know what the right answer is. I would
play if I didn't have anything to live for.
Well, but like some people had kids. Well, a lot of people had kids. But what are you going to do if you have kids, but also you have people that are going to like cut you open and take your organs out?
Yeah, or hurt your family.
Or hurt your family. Could be. We had this one lady, don't know her name, not going to try to figure it out, but she had not yet named her son, so she must have just given birth or something. And
yeah, I wonder how she got there.
She still came back.
She was probably selling herself for money to feed her baby.
Maybe. She did offer herself up a couple times.
Is that one lady?
Favors. Yeah, that's the lady I'm talking about.
No.
That's the lady that didn't name her baby at first and then she came back. Mm. We had some definite criminal elements. There was a guy with a snake on his face. He was kind of a badass.
He was a bad guy, yes.
A tremendous asshole. All right, so they all come back. And they get to play another game. This game, not like Red Light, Green Light, I cannot relate to. It involved discs made of honey? Mm-hmm. Honey something?
Honeycomb.
Honeycomb?
It wasn't honeycomb, but it was like made out of sugar and honey. Right. And then it was like dried. Mm. And it was like a light wafer cookie kind of thing.
You stamp a little symbol into it. And the goal was to cut it out without breaking it. So when you're dealing with something that thin, a lot of people died again. There was one guy who seemed to have inside knowledge. Someone passed him a note to let him know what honeycomb was. That it was a honeycomb game. So he chose like the easiest shape. But our hero, Gi-hun, he figures out that you can weaken the honeycomb by licking it. And now, the description.
Oh, this scene was hard to watch.
Take us there, babe. Take us there.
This was like...
Everyone close your eyes.
All right, so you've got this golden wafer, and this guy's got like 1 minute left or something. Just very little time left. People are getting shot all around him because they've broken their cookie. So you've got like a needle, and you have to scratch out around the shape, and he chose an umbrella. with the little bat wing type edges and the skinny cane that curves. And he starts licking the back of it because he dropped some sweat on it so he can see that it's like becoming soft. And he's like, oh, shit. So he starts licking it. And his tongue is just like, it's a close-up of him slowly licking this wafer over and
with
over and over with the sounds like of it going against. I almost was going to do it to my filter.
Do it. You'll do better than I just did.
I'm going to try. I don't think you can hear that. It tastes disgusting.
Oh, you actually licked the pop filter? Yeah. You should not have done. Drink some water. While she drinks water, I should mention in the middle of all this, Gi-hun tried to file a police report against these murderers, and that intrigued a local police detective who was looking for his long-lost brother.
Yeah.
So that's an important side note to make. So this place has now been infiltrated by a very sneaky detective who is wearing one of these pink...
Oh, yeah, we didn't mention what they look like.
Faceless suits. And the whole place is run by a guy named Frontman who's wearing more like a wolf mask, like a human. Well, I guess it's a human mask. It doesn't have ears or anything. It's like a
computerized looking face mask.
Very, very angular, blocky face mask. Yeah. Everyone else is more like a fencing mask with a symbol painted on it. There's squares and triangles and circles.
Right.
And I think squares are in charge.
Squares are in charge.
I think it's like
circles are lowest, I think.
Yeah, I think circles are lowest.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's licking and just with his big tongue, this licking, I guess I could have licked my hand. Tongue. Anyway. So the other people see him doing this and they start licking theirs because they're literally down to like 20 seconds or something. Right. And everybody's frantically licking, just like full on tonguing their wafer cookie. Oh my gosh. And it was such a long scene to watch.
Oh yeah. It really did go on a long time. Oh, it was painful. Too much.
There were some, oh my God. It's just, it's like everybody was practicing their oral capabilities.
Some people made it through with like this little needle they gave them and they scraped the shape free, and some people licked it. A couple people cheated with a lighter, heated up
the bad people.
Yeah, the bad people.
That scene, man. I could have done without thinking about that tonight.
Sorry. Shortly thereafter, we find out that there's a lot of extra if the threat of death wasn't bad enough, they're also depriving these people of food and water.
Right, they get to eat like
one egg. Yeah. And then a riot breaks out and one guy dies. And then it turns out, if you kill people in here, the prize money still counts.
And it gets more. You get their prize money.
Yeah, exactly. So then the next night is just nothing but murder for a while. Eventually they end it because you don't want everyone to die. You got more games to run, but they're thinning the herd.
Yeah.
And just really fucking with people's heads. I don't love that. Why thin the herd artificially? Why not actually play the games? I think
because there's so many of them that it would just take forever.
Well, do 7 games. I don't know. I would just want, if I was going to run a human sporting arena, a human death match, I would not do that. I would say no fighting in between games. You have to die in the games, but
Well, you're noble.
But it does. So there have been comparisons made, and this never occurred to me while watching it, that this show had a lot in common with The Hunger Games.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
But The Hunger Games had a lot in common with a movie, I don't remember what country, but I know it was a foreign film called Battle Royale, which was the same, very similar to Hunger Games. It was this tribal people killing each other over resources or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Greek, Mm-hmm. Gladiators and shit like that.
Well, the riot in the bunk room was more like the Hunger Games in that the people were directly murdering each other at that point, too. The Hunger Games was only about that, but this one...
You got an extra element of people, you have to watch your back while you try and not get killed by the game.
Right, but like in Red Light, Green Light, and the honey licking game, and the marbles game that comes next or whatever, like no one's able or allowed to just kill each other.
Although you had to decide kind of on the marble game.
Well, yeah, but not for... Violence wasn't allowed on the marble game, as a matter of fact. So, yeah. But There was another game before the marble game. What was it? Don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, it was Tug of War.
Oh, the Tug of War. Yes. So there was a tug of war way up high on these platforms. Losers get fall.
They fall and die. Fall to their deaths.
A guillotine comes and cuts your rope, and then you fall to your deaths. So that was something. We got value out of little old man because he was on their team, and he helped them figure out ways to win because he played a lot of tug of war when he was a kid, I guess. But that was neat.
Yeah.
Not knowing what we would come to know about the little old man. It was cool. Like, here's how we add value as a really scrawny dude. Cool scene. The herd gets thin some more. Then they play marbles for a whole episode. That was very long.
Yes, it was.
During all of that, Sae-byeok sort of bonds with this other young girl that she met along the way. And they spend most of their marble time just getting to know each other.
No, it was sweet.
And then that girl had said, like, if you be on a team with me, I promise I'll do everything to help you win. And she stuck to her word and just gave Sae-byeok all her marbles.
Yeah. She chose death.
On purpose.
Right.
So Sae-byeok could try to save her brother.
This was a good episode to learn how far people would go.
Yes. Yes, I want to talk about those. But first of all, with Sae-byeok, you see that scene. And by now, we've had the cop investigating, right? And he's gotten in, like, the back rooms of the place and stuff. And we know, like, they keep records of everybody that's ever played the game. And then there's, like, a winner's log. And in the winner's log, there's never more than one person. So when we watch that girl give up her life for Sae-byeok, do we have any hope or inkling that Sae-byeok could actually win this? Because she's not our protagonist. She's not Gi-hun.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't.
That kind of was a downer for me. I wish I wouldn't have known that you couldn't split the pot, that there would only be one person left.
Oh, actually, no. I thought at that time you could split. I thought you could split.
They thought you could split.
Yeah.
They thought you could split. But our cop friend, from what he was seeing, it seemed very unlikely, at the very least. Like, no one had ever done it. It was always one winner.
I didn't catch that. I didn't see him. I was probably doing something else.
Well, there was this whole thing with an organ harvesting operation.
Right. That was confusing.
It was a side plot that came up and then fell off a cliff itself. Like,
right.
The people were harvesting organs and then they got found out and died. And part of that, most of that was because of the cop sort of getting mixed up in the middle of it.
Right.
The only reason for the subplot that I can figure is that gave him knowledge and access to the secret tunnels, and that led him to Frontman's estate, his penthouse, which was pretty swank.
True.
Frontman's house. But it was in one of the rooms in Frontman's house where he found the records, and it was the records that showed one winner a year, and one of those winners was the cop's brother, which is what he was looking for. Okay. That's how it was all coming together.
I mean, I thought that I didn't see like the winner page, and I know that he found his brother's name in there, but I thought he thought his brother he'd been there and died.
Well, at first he did, until he found his name in the winner book, and then he's like, what the fuck?
I thought that was just a book of names that had played.
Well, that's weird, because I thought you were the first person to say what a front man was his brother.
Well, I did.
Okay. Okay.
But I thought that it was just, I don't know. I didn't put two and two.
Well, and there was a chance the frontman was his brother, but then if not, that also raised a completely different option. Like, I was thinking about, not the Hunger Games, but I was thinking back on the adaptations, a very bad word for this case, but The Running Man, the Stephen King adaptation that had nothing to do with the original story, but the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. What you found out there was that if a person won the Running Man game and actually beat the champions or whatever, they still got murdered. There would be like faked footage, like deep fake stuff of them still being alive and partying in Hawaii or whatever with all their winnings, but they got murdered. So that was the one thing I was thinking of, is like, well, his brother's in the book. Maybe his brother is frontman, like Jennifer said, or maybe when you win the game, you go down in history, but you also still get murdered because no one can find out about the game. And maybe that's what happened to his brother.
Yeah.
So it was one of those two. Okay, so we had the marble game, right? So little girl gives up her life for slightly less little girl. And what was his name? Sang-woo. He was a shitty shit fuck.
He really is a bad guy.
He took Ali. He was losing to Ali, a guy that warmed all of our hearts, and then manipulated the fuck out of him because he's a genius that went to SNU, and Ali's just a kid from the streets of Pakistan. He manipulated the fuck out of him into like, well, if we don't have a winner, then they'll have us do like 2 versus 2 against other teams. And so why don't you go scout out the other teams and I'll hold your marbles for you. There was more to it than that. But ultimately, Ali got tricked out of his marbles. Sang-woo kept him. And Ali got shot in the fucking head.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It was really malicious.
I'm still mad thinking about that. I mean, I know, again, Gi-hun is our protagonist. But I was rooting for Ali.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking Sang-woo. And then there was Gi-hun. Oh. He was paired with the little old man who was having a dementia episode. And kept going around this fake little prop town that they built and talking about his memories and his kids and how things used to be. But then it turned out the old man was really fucking good at the marble game too. And Gi-hun took advantage of that dementia to trick the man out of his marbles.
Right.
As they said goodbye, the old man turned out actually knew Gi-hun was tricking him the whole time. Mm-hmm. And Gi-hun is now scarred for life.
Right.
Like he might have been scarred for life anyway.
He wouldn't have felt as bad though if he didn't get caught, I bet.
probably less
He'd get
bad.
over it a little bit.
Uh-huh. And then Gi-hun cries and walks away while the old man around a corner gets shot in the head.
Yes.
And what did I say?
You didn't see him get shot. He didn't die on screen.
He died off screen. He might still be okay, which was a joke.
Yeah.
There was no way. I assumed that they just killed the old man off screen because it was just a step too far.
Right.
We should not see this cute old man's head explode.
We didn't want to feel that bad.
Yeah. His head explodes. A little tumor rolls across the ground. It would have been a great effect, honestly. Yeah. But I just thought they were having mercy on us as an audience. But right. I still said it. I still said he died off screen. He might still be alive.
You called it.
Uh-huh. I called it, technically. Oy. Okay. We have now thinned the herd dramatically at this point, but it's not over yet. But now it's time for the VIPs.
The VIPs.
Now, this is where things take a little bit of a Hunger Games turn. Mm-hmm. Because the Hunger Games, you had a whole society of the rich people, the haves, right? It was a whole city full, probably millions of people that just were prosperity incarnate.
Right.
With their fashion and their hair and their food. Mm-hmm. Having food, not even if the food is fancy, just having it. This was kind of like that, only it was like, what, 5 guys?
Yes.
4 guys? 5 guys. I think it was 5 guys.
I think it was 5.
Wearing these golden animal masks that remind me of something, and it could just be the Masked Singer, but I feel like it was something. Oh, maybe it was like the Hunger Games meets Eyes Wide Shut. Mm. Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
The orgy with the secret society and their masks and just fucking and just weird, creepy shit. And even a little bit, I would say, of that brothel in Westworld, which I think at the time I also compared to Eyes Wide Shut. Just everybody in a mask. Some of them were like animal masks, and then just a lot of fucking going on. These guys are definitely part of those societies. All of them.
Yeah. And
then I guess they're funding this operation, which is millions of dollars a year.
Yeah. Like, it was I don't know how much. What was 45?
I did the math at one point.
Billion, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 45, 46 billion won. And when I looked it up and tried to translate that, it came out to something like $35 million, which is not bad. But like if you're a Jeff Bezos type, and I'm sure Jeff Bezos wears a mask sometimes and goes to creepy fuck parties. If you're a Jeff Bezos type, that's nothing.
That's chump change.
Yeah, that's like, okay, I'll just have to skip a week gassing up my mega yacht because that's about $35 million per tank, right? Yeah. So it's nothing to these guys. And what was really interesting about it was that they were American. Most of them were American, but I think they were all speaking English. Like one was French, one was French, one was Asian. Actually, well, yeah, one was French, one was Asian.
One was definitely from Texas.
Yeah.
but he was gay.
But a few were American. Yeah, one was this. I bet you if you asked that guy if he was gay, he'd say no.
Right.
But he's just so rich and so powerful and so bored that it doesn't matter anymore. He just
wants to get his little kicks.
Yep. So we meet these guys. Don't ever find out anything about them. The cop corners one of them temporarily because he's almost forced to suck a dick. But he takes one of these guys down and gets him on video confessing a bunch of stuff. But does that ever make it off the island? Doesn't seem like it. But he almost busts the whole operation wide open. Almost. And these guys are coming to watch the last two games. We still have a field of, 16 people, I think, after the marble game. 16 people left. And they have to cross a bridge. We've left the realm of kids' games. I feel like for this, right?
I don't think this was a kid's game.
The death part aside, what kind of kid's game is like, maybe it's like hopscotch. Like maybe. You got to go to one side or the other or something, except now you're 100 feet up in the air and you're jumping on panes of glass.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know that I have a whole lot to say about that scene, except it was pretty brutal. You had some people there was no rule against violence in this one, so some people got pushed ahead of their place in line to test the glass for other people.
Yeah.
And Gi-hun just sort of lucked into being number 16. So he was way in the back of the line. In fact, so were his friends, Sang-woo and Se-byok. They were the last three. So they got through this together. And they're the only ones that survived. So, But when the timer ran out on the glass, it turns out the reason you couldn't still be on the glass bridge when the time ran out was because the glass explodes.
Yeah. Everything exploded.
That was unnecessary.
It was, or at least have a door that closes.
Maybe it was part of the grand plan to, again, weaken them or something, but then...
Well, they couldn't take forever. Something had to happen.
Well, yeah, but you could just drop the bridge. You could just unlatch it. You didn't have to explode it. It's good for flair.
It was very flary. But had a lot of flair.
But they were injuring their survivors.
And then they gotta weaken them.
But then they gave their survivors a nice dinner to strengthen them for the final fight.
Maybe it was bad planning.
I think it was bad planning.
The bad party planner.
You shouldn't have had the glass explode so close to their faces and body, because that did in Se-byok.
I don't know. Maybe they were.
Maybe that was part of the plan.
Maybe.
One person, but not two people, will get shards of glass through their gut. So she was bleeding out slowly over the course of a few hours. But in the end, when Gi-hun tried to get her medical attention,
when he turned his back,
she got her throat slit by Sang-woo.
He is a bad guy.
Like, what do you have to worry about? She's bleeding to death. If you were gonna try to kill anyone, sneak up on Gi-hun while he's pounding on the door, right?
Well, no. He had... What was his... He said if we had let her... if they had come to get her help... What was it? He had a good reason. Oh,
no, you're right. I remember it now. If the guys had come in and given Se-byok a chance to talk, then she and Gi-hun could have conspired to end the game.
That's right.
And then no one would have gotten anything.
They might have. And that's what he thought would happen if...
What's interesting about that? It's not that no one would have gotten anything. In fact, 453 dead people's families would have gotten
1 million. Wasn't it 1 million each?
It was 100 million won each. Yeah.
Yeah. Selfish.
Which would have been a few $100,000, I believe.
That was a good reason to quit.
Gi-hun's life still would have sucked ass, but if they had ended the games, a lot of people would have had a lot of good done for them.
Yeah, just go knock on their door and ask for money for the rest of your life.
But Sang-woo didn't care about that.
He wanted the money to himself.
Yeah, you're right. So that's why he took out the weak member of the herd, so that there could be no vote where a majority wins. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that led us to the final game. Which was...
The final game?
Yeah.
Squid
Game.
Big.
That couldn't have been a surprise, right? You knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They introduced it. It was the first scene of the whole show, a flashback to his childhood of playing something called Squid Game. Mm-hmm. And then the show's called Squid Game.
Right.
So I didn't figure that was just a metaphor.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Are you proud of me?
So proud.
So, of course, the final game had to be Squid Game, which didn't actually matter that much, did it? I mean...
No, it was more like fight for your life game.
Yeah.
Because they gave them knives.
Right. They still had their steak knives from the previous night's dinner.
They let them keep the knives, right.
Which, incidentally, that dinner did make me kind of hungry. I'm just saying.
That was a big-ass steak.
That was it just looked perfectly cooked. Just that right color of pink on the inside of the steak. Oh, not like...
Juicy.
Oh, you don't want it drowning in blood. You just want it a little bit bloody for the flavor and just nice and pink and it sure beats like one day you get an egg. One day you get a potato.
A potato, yeah. Raw potato.
God, I hope it wasn't raw.
And it was.
But wouldn't it have been crunchy like an apple? Like
yes. Have you never eaten potato?
I've never eaten a raw potato.
I used to eat it all the time.
I thought that was like poisonous for you.
I didn't die.
Am I thinking of something else?
You're thinking of green potatoes which you've said they're poisonous. And I've read that they're poisonous, but I've eaten a green potato before.
And you're still with us.
I'm still here.
Fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
No health problems.
None whatsoever.
Yep.
I'm superhuman now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess that's why you glow in the dark.
Powered by green potatoes.
Damn, we finally figured it out.
I secretly have to eat one every night.
It's the secret of your powers. Right. So anyway, Squid Game is like one guy's on offense trying to get to a goal and the other guy's on defense to push you out of bounds. Mm-hmm. If you get pushed out of bounds, you lose and then presumably get shot in the head. If you make it to the goal, you win and the other guy presumably gets shot in the head. But then they said, unless one player can't continue. What do you mean? Well, if that player dies. So it just turns into a fist fight.
Right.
I thought I don't know if this will mean anything to you, but as that scene it started to rain. Mm-hmm. They were getting all wet. They were primed for a fight. Like the stances were there of like, I don't really know how to fight, but I'm coming for you. It just to me looked very like a John Woo film, just the way it was shot. Something about it.
Who's that?
I feel like I've seen that before. He's a Hong Kong filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like I saw a scene like that once before, a long time ago. Anyway, it was cool.
It was cool.
And I thought the fight was really well done in the sense that these guys don't know how to fight.
I thought so too. I thought it was very realistic.
Mm-hmm. Just wild swings.
Yeah.
And some stuff that was like almost martial arts. Like the Sang Woo uses his jacket to like get the knife away from Gi Hun. And that was really smart, but not done in the same way that like Jackie Chan would.
Right. It was clumsily done.
Clumsy. Right. And some stabbings. Gi Hun gets stabbed in the gut and the leg.
Yeah.
But he seemed to take the leg one harder than the gut. I don't know.
It was good. You could see like it was real exhaustion on their faces.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, ultimately Sang Woo didn't get his back broken or anything, but he just got punched so many times that he just couldn't get up anymore.
Yeah.
I guess. Like he just gave up.
Gi Hun was very pissed that he killed
Sae-byuk. Yeah. As would I. I mean, I was kind of pissed. I liked her. She was a good-hearted character.
She was the underdog.
And she, like, not like Gi Hun, who we had to really get to know him.
She deserved to win.
And I don't even, like, when Gi Hun was sitting there cheating the old man out of his marbles, I was still like, this is the most unlikable protagonist in history. Mm-hmm. And I know he's going to come down to the end.
But you know what? He's thinking in his mind, this is an old man with a brain tumor. Am I really going to let him win?
Totally get it. I know we'd all... I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily do that.
I might try to reason with him and to say, hey, dude.
Also possible. Which I think the old man said.
I could help a lot of people.
Yeah. And I get the impression that the old man wanted Gi Hun to get through.
Maybe.
So, like, one way or another, Gi Hun was going to win that game.
They most likely knew that they were cousins, right?
Who was cousins?
Sang Woo and Gi Hun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had all the dossiers on that shit. Yeah. They knew everything about everybody that was playing these games.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, that one guy's looking at the glass a lot. Let's pull up his file. Oh, he used to work in the glass industry years ago. Like, they know, they didn't memorize it all, but they knew everything about the shit.
Right.
Yeah. But then we come down to that final couple moments where Gi-hun is going, is promised that he would adopt Sae-byeok's son if she can't make it. And he's trying to defend her life. And then at the end there, he has a chance to just stab Sang-woo through the heart, and he just can't do it because he's just not a killer. Mm-hmm. He kind of killed the old man. But otherwise, he hasn't done any of that. He's more been a defender. Someone.
Right.
So he did.
So he's got good at it. Like, he's good at ultimate, like, deep down, he's a good person.
Yeah. He had his heart.
He just has a lot of flaws.
Yeah, that's it. His heart is in the right place. I heard this once before. Something like $1 million heart, but like nickel head, right? Mm-hmm. He just doesn't think, he doesn't run his life in the way of someone who's going to be good at anything or generally do the right things, but he wants to somewhere down deep inside. Mm-hmm. And he was able to finally pull that out.
He's bitten by addiction.
And depression.
I'm sure
depression just
comes with addiction and it, right? Vice versa.
Yeah. But just
this is what happens to people.
Oh, and then he couldn't just stab Sang-woo through the heart. He also couldn't step on the goal to win the game because he knew the second he did that, like the pink guy already had the gun out.
Right. He was just ready to shoot him.
And Sang-woo was bracing himself for it, but he couldn't do that either. He's like, I'm sorry, let's just end this. Let's vote to quit and none of us will get the money. And that's when Sang-woo stabs himself in the neck and says, please take care of my mom.
Yeah.
And then dies.
I mean, he didn't, like, ultimately, I think ultimately he wanted to just clear his name.
Sang-woo?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Well, and
I don't think it was about the money necessarily. It was just he had to clear his name. Because,
well, if he got the money, he could clear his name by paying off all of his debts and
right.
Paying
and
his
still
fines.
having money left over.
Probably still having money left over. But if he dies, most of his debts and his crimes are generally going to go away, but his property still might get repossessed. So
they might kill his mother.
Well, the government wasn't gonna. They were going to take away her establishment.
No, I thought he owed it to more than just the government.
I didn't think so. I think it was just the government. But like she was going to lose her place, and that was going to be devastating to her and to him. Embarrassing for him, devastating to her. So he just figured if I die and Gi-hun gets the money, then he'll do right, which Gi-hun did eventually. Now, this was... I saw someone online call the whole thing unnecessary. Like someone said after Sang-woo stabbed himself, the whole thing should have just been over. Mm-hmm. I'm glad there was an epilogue, but fuck. I mean, just when you think you're starting to like Gi-hun.
Yeah, it brings you back down again.
Oh my God. He goes home and finds his mom. She's dead from diabetes. Because it turns out South Korea, for as awesome as they seem, does not have universal health care.
They don't, huh?
They have a public health care system, but that system doesn't cover all the costs, like maybe 60% of general medical costs. So a lot of people still have to have private insurance and or can't afford their bills, yada, yada, yada. Kind of a bummer when I looked that up, but that's why she left the hospital with her hobbled
she couldn't
feet.
afford it.
And then while he was gone for those...
And that's why she has problem feet, because she hasn't been able to afford her medicine for ages.
Or get properly diagnosed even. She probably was like, my feet are starting to develop these weird sores, but I can't afford to go to the doctor, and my son doesn't have any money.
I vomit all the time.
Yeah.
I see double.
Right. And maybe if she had just known, then she could have stopped eating rice with her fish and just gone on a protein diet or something and been okay.
Maybe. I should do that.
But that's not. But then he was gone for a few days trying to get money for her health care, and she died. So he did take that hard. I get it. And there's no question that there's a ton of PTSD that comes with watching 455 people die.
Well, this is this is human nature, though. This is actually what would probably happen.
The PTSD part?
Yeah, 455 people die and all of this shit, and your mom died, and you're already a messed up person, and there's no, therapy going on. I don't know if they have therapy, but, that's probably truly what would happen to somebody that won all this money. This is what happens to lottery winners. They blow it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true. Well, but they blow it, right? They're like, yay, I finally have money. And then they fuck everything up in a different way. But something did just occur to me that might have added to it, which was it wasn't just that he won the money and the relief that should come with that. On his way out, he's talking to Frontman, who incidentally was the cop's brother. He's talking to Frontman, and he's like, why do you do this? This is horrible. And Frontman's like, look, just enjoy the money, buddy. But basically the story is we look at you guys like horses. It's like a horse race. I mean, I would say that's not even a great description. More like a dog fighting arena, right? Like horse races don't end in that much blood.
Yeah.
But either way, like we make bets on you, and then it's sport for us because we're rich people that don't have anything else to do.
Blood sport.
And that is a problem with rich people.
Yeah.
Without question.
Right.
Yeah. But maybe knowing that it wasn't even like altruistic. Maybe finding out that it wasn't just like, this is a charity organization who's going to give away money, but in a really fucked up way. Mm-hmm. Instead, it was,
pleasure.
Yeah, we're just laughing at this and like jerking off with naked painted models and fuckboys while you guys are falling to your deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the old man.
Well, that didn't happen yet. So like he spends a whole year just not doing anything. And apparently still borrowing money. The one thing I don't get, and I would love an explanation for this, is why he was still alive. Like, if he did not touch his fortune of 46 billion won for a year, how did he not get killed by those loan sharks?
Yeah. Well, no, I think he probably paid off his debts, but he didn't do anything else.
Because that would at least explain it. But then,
right.
they said he didn't do anything.
They said you barely touched it.
Did he? All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. All right. But what's shitty is that during that year, it would seem like he didn't help Sang-woo's mom, and he didn't help Se-byok's little brother.
Right. He left him
languishing in this orphanage, not
for
knowing
a whole year. That's like an eternity to a child.
You don't get like an obituary notice. They take your body and they put it in an incinerator, and it's like you never lived.
And you're gone forever.
Right.
It's like it was abandoned by his whole family.
Right. She's like, I'm going to go get the money to rescue mom, and then I'll come back for you. And then she
promise.
I promise. Right. Jesus, that poor kid. Cheol, I think his name was. But then it turns out the old man, it's okay. It's part of the storm. The rattling doors. It adds to our charm. But then it turns out the old man was alive. Hooray. But although actually dying of a brain tumor. Sort of. Was he nice?
No, I'm joking.
Was actually dying of a brain tumor. So yay for that. Go tumor.
Tumor.
But was behind the whole damn thing. He was the originator. He was the boss. Mm-hmm. We never saw the boss because he was busy or tied up or something. Frontman had to make excuses for him a couple times.
That's right. He was going to be absent.
Mm-hmm. And that's because he was trying to play the game and then faked his own death.
Yep. Good old Gambu.
Although that might be, so I was a little confused about the VIPs because I thought there was like however many X number and like all of them were American except for one guy with like a French accent or something. But then at the very end, I think during the final battle, there was an Asian dude, I
think we just didn't hear them all talk.
A thick Asian accent.
I think we only heard the Americans talk.
But that could have been the old guy. That could have been Il-nam.
We should go back and listen to his voice.
Yeah, we could take another look at just that final fight scene. Because I think he might have been there for the final battle with his mask on. His golden
There's no
mask.
reason why he wouldn't.
Right? He didn't have to fake his own death to these guys.
You're probably right.
Yeah. But he revealed himself, told the story about how he was just a money-grubbing shithead and got bored and created these games. Mm-hmm. But still seems justified in that because people don't help each other otherwise. Like, it's a whole thing with him. There's no such thing as goodwill in this world, so we're just doing what we want to do. But at least we helped you, and why aren't you happy?
Yeah.
You ingrateful little shit. And then he dies. Which is fine. He died at exactly the stroke of midnight, just as this hobo across the street was getting help from police or something.
They transferred souls.
I guess. But through all of that, Gi-han was able to turn his shit around. He got some kind of closure, maybe. He dyes his hair K-pop red, which was... Actually, I mean, it kind of looked good. Should I do that?
No.
Come on. Me with like bright cherry red hair?
No.
How cool would that be?
That would not be cool.
All right, fine. But he got a shave, cleaned himself up, got his hair dyed red. And and then adopted the boy, got him out of the orphanage, dropped him off with Sang-woo's mom so that they don't have to be alone with each other anymore or by themselves anymore.
Old lady.
They can be alone with each other now. But he gives her a suitcase full of cash, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
And then he's going to go make things half. Right. He said it was Sang-woo's share. I didn't think half would fit in that suitcase, but it was still a shitload of money.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he goes off to be a good dad. He's going to go to America and visit his daughter and bring her a present. He's got everything. Everything's coming up Millhouse on this one. Gi-han's going to be okay, you guys. And then he sees a person playing that stupid flippy game.
Yep.
And he loses his shit. And he takes that business card away from the poor guy that's desperate for money. And he calls the number. And they say, motherfucker, leave us alone and enjoy your money. And he says, I'm going back. And he, just when you're starting to like him, he ditches his daughter. He could have gone to America.
And he promised he would be there.
He promised her a present.
Because he's also a loser, innately. A loser.
I mean, he's something. He could have come back later and tried to figure out a way to take these bastards down. He could have first been a good dad. Good dad first.
Right, they're going to be at the subway playing the game all the time.
Right, you could find them a year later. Mm-hmm. You know what they're going to be doing. You could track these guys down. You know they're on an island. Like, there's all sorts of things that you know.
Right.
But instead, he goes back. He walks up the gangway, and that's where the show ends. Now, he leaves it open for season 2, which is cool, but I am not happy about Gi-hun. Not happy at all.
He'll die this time.
You think he won't make it through a second? But then his daughter will never get to see him.
Oh, well. Maybe she's better off.
Well, yes. You know what? She is. As he was turning things around, I'm like, great. She's finally going to get the dad she deserves. And then he does that to her. I'm like, fuck it. Stepdad's better.
Mm-hmm.
God damn
Way
it.
better.
So whoever wrote the Gi-hun character...
Good for you.
Good for you, I guess.
You made a truly hateable, lovable character.
You took us on quite a roller coaster.
Yes.
Like a real mind fuck, that one. But if there is going to be a season 2, and there's no confirmation yet, but the rumors, of course, are flying, tons of speculation, and it's like Netflix's #1 show, so...
Probably.
They're probably going to put some money behind it and say, hey, Korean people, make more of this. Mm-hmm. I could see that happening. So I look forward to that. But I have no idea what we could expect.
Not
a clue. Because how's he going to get back in? They know him. They know everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're watching him right now. They said, just finish getting on the plane and go have fun with your daughter. Like, they said that on the phone.
Maybe he'll say he wants to be the front man and try to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, I want the front man full story. I want to know how he went from the guy that won to being like, what you guys are doing here with this whole horse race betting thing, it's pretty cool. I want in. I would love that story. Love it. Wow. Yeah. So, mind fuck of a show, but I did love it.
It was good. It catches you, like it grips you.
We couldn't stop watching. We were up way too late a couple of times recently. Mm-hmm. Whew. But that's why we just had to
Haven't even played any video games.
Right. For quite a while. Had to do this podcast immediately. I couldn't wait like I could for Why the Last Man. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad we got this out of our systems. We're going to go back to normal now. This wasn't even, like, I wouldn't call this in our sort of nerdy bailiwick, but it is in our dystopia bailiwick. Certainly. Yeah. So if you haven't watched it and you listen to all this, well, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but hopefully you watched it when you got this far and you enjoyed it too. Let us know what you think. Any speculation, any comment? Why should we like Gi-hun? Did you like him better than we did? Any of that stuff. Hit us up. You can reach us on email, jeff@potofthrones.com.
Jennifer@potofthrones.com or at KidFreeWeekend on Twitter.
And I'm at Pod of Thrones on Twitter. So hit us up. Let us know what you think. Boy, what a ride it was. I'm going to go get my hair done. You want to do it with me?
Yes.
K-pop style?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
I'll do purple. You do blue?
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Picture's coming.